Hey everyone, this is Carrie Marshall, your certified master goal coach, and today we're going to talk about the small stuff. So, recently I've had a lot of people that have come to me that have either overly cared about what is happening or they haven't really taken care of the small stuff, and that has led to them not getting what they want. So, when do we know when it's time to not sweat the small stuff and when we should actually maybe really take care of the small stuff? So, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So, I like to say that when we're going after a big goal, we often think about the goal itself and all of these big things that might need to happen, right, in order for us to do this. Maybe in order to make millions of dollars, we need to sell our company. That's not very small. That's actually some big things that need to happen in order for us to actually go and do those things. But in order to actually get to the point where you could sell your company, there are a million different small things, consistent action that needs to be taken in order to actually make it a sellable company. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about the small things and why we talk about the things that maybe you don't need to sweat and maybe the times that we do. So I was recently talking to my husband and I asked him, like, if you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would be the thing that you would tell your younger self? And he said, I would tell my younger self, like, there's so many small things that don't matter in the long run. And so don't get too worked up over the small things. And so I was thinking about that because I had also just talked to another client about how he had maybe not taken enough care of the small things and how it had resulted in him not getting what he wanted. And so I kind of like talked to my husband about this, like, okay, so when do you not sweat the small stuff, but when do you actually maybe consistently determine that that really is a big thing? A lot of you know that I come from a dental family and so grew up in the dental industry, dental assistant, chair side, meaning that I was the one that was helping the dentist every day, day in and day out. And it was fascinating to me to see that small, consistent actions like brushing your teeth and flossing is a huge one. If you can do that, a lot of the dental things that happen might not happen. Now, remember, there's genetics and there's all of that. Sometimes people that brush and floss every day still get cavities. I'm not saying that that's complete prevention, but for most people, those two small, consistent actions daily really made an impact on their oral health. And so let's kind of get back to your goals. What are the goals that you're doing? And when do we know that it's worth kind of investing in the small stuff? So I want you to really think about that goal that you have and why it's important to you. Because I think that when we can identify the small things that really matter. So if you're building a coaching business, like you're going to want to be consistent with marketing. You're going to want to be consistent with like making offers and doing things like that. That might feel small, but in the long run, then we can say that that's like actually what helps our funnel out, right? So that's when we talk about consistently concerned about the small stuff. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about really determining what things are going to matter to you in the long run that you're just willing to do no matter what, right? If you're brushing and flossing your teeth, you're not doing it because you have a cavity, you're doing it to prevent the cavities. And so that's why we want to really think about those things. Now, when is it appropriate to maybe not care about the small stuff? I've done a lot of contemplating about this in the last couple of days because I've like really thought about like, yeah, when is it just worth letting things go? And this is what I've determined is that when we talk about maybe not having those small things matter as much, I think we're talking about a couple of different things. Number one is we're talking about failure. We don't want to take those small failures as something huge. What we want to do is we want to just kind of build from them and move forward with our plan. So, for instance, I had a client that was wanting to get elected for something. And the first round of elections, she didn't get it. Now, this felt like a big thing for her, but she decided that it was a small thing in hindsight, right? Like she's like, it's not a huge deal. I mean, doesn't really impact my life that much if I'm not elected for this position right now. There's like a couple of other things that I can do down the road. And so instead of like determining that she wasn't worthy of this or that, like what she did didn't work and she could just abandon it, what she did instead was she really came back to herself and was like, listen, this is a kind of small thing. This is a small failure in the whole grand scheme of things. And so she decided to let it go. So the second thing of like, don't sweat the small stuff is we really have to look at when is it an obstacle that comes up. And so notice the difference. The things that we want to pay attention to are like actionable things that we're doing to move us forward. When we're talking about not sweating the small stuff, it's those small annoyances, it's those obstacles. That's what we're determining. And that's what we're talking about when we're like, just let it go. We're not saying that those small actions won't have an impact. What we're saying is, those are the things that we want to actually focus on and go toward. So just kind of look at that when you're going forward in your life, asking yourself when you're going after that goal, like, what are the things that I just need to let go of? Those small obstacles, those annoyances, maybe a failure that I have versus those small actionable items that I really want to like focus on, continue to take consistent action at, and then I can move myself forward. So I've been in this industry for quite some time, and I'll tell you the most like interesting thing to me, and I might have talked about this before on the podcast, is I have a lot of people that come to me that are interested in coaching or being an entrepreneur or starting their own business. And I love, love, love sharing my experience, asking questions to people, seeing where they're at, and maybe even a little bit of inspiration for them. And of course, like me, some definite homework, some homework that they can go ahead and do so that they can move themselves forward. And I think a lot of times when people talk to me about their kind of dreams and aspirations of being an entrepreneur or a coach, is that they think that it's going to be this amazing thing. They think that they're going to be able to coach all day and that clients are just going to come when they decide to open their doors. And that's not the case. It really is these small, consistent actions like recording a podcast or being on social media, or for me, referrals are huge. And so, making sure to ask for referrals and making sure that people know when you're taking clients and when you're not. All of these small, small, consistent actions matter a lot. And I think that that's where people sometimes, when I tell them that, they're kind of like, oh, so you're not just like coaching all day and speaking around the country and, book signing and that type of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's about 2% of my business. Actually, like the speaking and the writing and all of that, that's like 2% of my business. And I'm like, and then I split my time between these small, consistent actions and then actually doing what I love, which is coaching. And so I think that when people come to do those big things, that's where they sometimes stop themselves. They stop dreaming about it, or they just stay in the dream of it and they don't get to work doing the consistent actions. And, I think that that's sometimes the saddest thing is that I'm like, there's so many amazing people that have amazing ideas that I want to see out in the world, but then they stop themselves because the small, consistent actions aren't sexy. Let's be real. They're not. Brushing your teeth and flossing, not sexy at all. Absolutely not. But what does that get you? It gets you great oral health. Hopefully, it gets you to be able to take care of yourself. Like there's so many benefits to it. And so that's what I want you to really think of today is like, where do I need to stay consistent? Where is the consistency within what I'm doing? And how am I just making sure that that's what is the most important thing? And final word, when it comes to those small annoyances and the obstacles and failures, always, always learn from what you failed from. If you had a failure, I just had somebody really close to me get a failure. She was super upset about it. And I just asked her, like, what did you learn? instantly she came up with like 5 things that she learned that she wanted to implement. And I think that that is really what matters is how am I then coming back from the failure, not internalizing it to make it mean something about me, but then actually going out and doing something about it. So maybe don't sweat the small stuff, but maybe also pay close attention to being consistent with those small actions. I hope this has been helpful for you as you go after your goals. If you want any help with your goals, I have a couple things that I want to kind of let you know about what's coming up. Number one is I have a new book coming out. It's going to be amazing. I'm actually really, really excited about this. And I'm going to create a video series that goes along with it because we're going to talk about vision boards. To say I'm obsessed with vision boards would be maybe a little bit minimizing the love affair that I have with vision boards and how much I believe that they can impact your life. And so we're going to have that come up. Hopefully, if I get to my consistent action of writing, we'll have this out by the end of the summer, maybe even the beginning of fall. And then the next thing that I want to offer is that video series is coming up. So if you're interested in the book, the video series, make sure to be watching on my social media account, and I'll be putting some news and some stuff about that up. All right. We hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for spending some time with me, the Goal Coach, and I'll see you next time. Bye.